Good morning.
Good morning. I'm trying to keep my face plastered happy like this so that when Facebook freezes my face, it works.
Oh, it will find the perfect moment to freeze. I love, I create these shorts that because not everybody has time to listen to the entire episode, but we can take out some of the like nuggets of specialness that happen in each episode and put it out there. But when you're doing those, there's always those perfect moments. But I think even like I laugh like looking at the amount of views like each particular short gets. And I think the ones that have the most views are the ones that like start with our faces in the funniest expressions.
Horrible. Absolutely horrible. We should probably do an episode where we only make bad faces and see if the algorithm picks up the smile, like
It
oh,
might find that one special moment. But
yeah,
so
there you
and
go.
for those that are viewing, I have a different background this morning. I'm actually at my office. So for once this isn't the first thing I'm doing on a Tuesday morning. I've already been out networking in the real world.
Well, and you know what? My kids are on spring break, so I have not left the house yet this morning. So this is my first thing to do today.
Lovely,
Otherwise,
lovely.
it would be. But it's a gorgeous day. I'm learning so much about what spring means, and in my upbringing, spring was bunny rabbits and Easter bunny and hot 700 degrees, and it is not so much that here.
Mm-hmm.
It is very much hot, cold, hot, cold, hot, cold, hot, cold. So I can't put anything away. We got cocky last week. It was hot, I was like, oh, I'm not gonna do this anymore. And today we want to walk around downtown and do a little bit of local shopping. And I'm like, okay, I'll bring my bigger stuff back out again until noon.
Yeah, well, and just kind of like Groundhog Day, like determining how much cold weather is still in the future. My dad's birthday, shout out, hi dad.
Happy
His birthday
birthday.
is April 20th, and so this year it happens to fall on Easter Sunday. And he says historically, whenever it matches up that his birthday is Easter Sunday, be prepared for more winter, more snow. Yes.
Oh my
So,
goodness. Wow. Okay. Thanks, Dad.
right? It's all his fault.
Well, maybe I'm gonna say that it's a Wisconsin thing, maybe it's just a Wisconsin thing. I don't know.
We'll see. We'll see. We'll keep us posted. Is this a new mug?
Not a new mug, oldie but goodie, but you know what? This is water today. I'm not cacao ready today, so I'm just drinking good old-fashioned water. So yes, it
I'm
requires
double dipping. I've got my pretty amethyst mug here. That was a gift. Thank you,
That's
Mary. Thank you, Mary.
gorgeous. That's so
Yeah,
beautiful.
this was the replacement one for the funny one. I don't know if you remember from a few episodes back, which found a new home, just so you know.
Oh,
Um,
wonderful.
and but I already had coffee this morning because I went to networking, but it is Cacao Conversations, so you know, it, I thought I went back and forth whether or not I was going to do it, and I was just like, cacao is really important to me, and so it's okay. I can
And
have a cup of coffee and a cup of cacao.
exactly. And what could go wrong? I mean, you're fine. You're not going to OD. It's going to be okay.
Well, you never know with this one over here, but
Well, I keep having, cacao conversations throughout, just talking to people and meeting people and stuff like that. And every time I describe it, I keep saying how it's such a heart opener and it just like softens you. And, quote unquote, with everything going on in the world, which I think I've used that phrase my entire life. How wonderful is it to start the day with something that's just calming and centering and grounding, and how cool would it be, and this is the real exciting part for me. How cool would it be if before every networking event, before every congressional hearing, before every State of the Union, everybody just took a few minutes to drink, even 3 ounces of cacao, right? Even just a little bit, and to get into that heart-centered space. How different would it be if business was conducted from that foundation? I don't know. It's just a pipe dream, but I'm gonna stick to it.
That's what like, never in a million years did I think that my dad would start drinking cacao every morning. And, I will say, he, the engineer, it was a little bit more science of cacao that inspired him to try it.
Right.
But even if you're drinking it for the health benefits of it, you are still going to experience the other benefits of it as well, whether you know it or not.
I love it. I love it. That's my challenge out to everyone. Drink, have a cup, have a cup, have a cup.
Just have a cup and see how it goes.
I gotta find my lotion. Anywho, what are we talking about today? Let's see.
Today we are talking about staying aligned with your purpose. And, which for me is a really interesting topic because, me doing the work that I do, I hear so often from people, oh, you're so lucky to have found your purpose and to be living your purpose. And yes, I am super lucky and super blessed. And I had the conversation more than once yesterday with clients about how I am so blessed to be able to come in every day and do something that brings me so much joy, so much pleasure, so much excitement. Like, this doesn't get boring, it doesn't get old. And looking at my prior career as a physical therapist and learning that the current career expectancy of a physical therapist is 9 years. So imagine, now they go and they get this doctorate degree, spend hundreds of thousands of dollars, go into debt to get this degree, and then to only burn out and quit it 9 years. Like, they probably don't even have their degree paid off yet by the time they're already dropping out. And that brings a lot of sadness to my heart. But fortunately, I've been brave enough, courageous enough, creative enough to know that, yes, I'm meant to be here as a healer and a guide. And I've been visionary enough to find another way to do the work that I'm doing and be joyful in it. And because yes, if I was doing the healing work in the traditional physical therapy way, I don't even know if I would have made it 9 years, So I've, from pretty much out the door, out the gate, I have been exploring, pushing limits, breaking down the box so there is no more box. And it's definitely made all the difference in my life. And that being said, your purpose doesn't always necessarily have to be your career or how you make money. Like, they can be two separate things.
And that, that's kind of where I wanted to start, was why is it important to know your purpose to begin with, right? Because sometimes, especially when you're like in super lack mode, when you're feeling like, I don't have any money, and you are, your bills are coming due and your kids need to be fed, and, things are barreling down on you. You kind of forget your purpose, and you're like, forget the purpose. I'll do whatever I need to do. I'll just do it. I'll just do it. And it's really quite ironic that that is literally what's pushing you away from abundance, is not working from your purpose. That's how I see it and how it shows up for me. So in, the life of an entrepreneur, it has always had ups and downs and back and forward and loop-de-loop. And I always find that in the periods where I feel the most lack, it's when I'm most disconnected from my purpose. As a matter of fact, just this morning, I saw a little video, And it said that researchers went into high schools to figure out what makes popular kids popular, right? So let's just pretend for a second that in high school, this is a major part of your purpose, right? Is to be loved, right? And because nobody likes to feel rejection at 13 to 16, right? Like those are critical years. So one of the things that the study came up with is that the people that are the most popular aren't the most athletic or the prettiest or the richest. It's the people that like the most people. So if they ask the question, who do you like? Their lists of people they like were a lot longer than other people's lists. And I just thought that that was so interesting because if you are the thing that you want to be, right, be the change really, then that energy comes back to you. So I think knowing your purpose every day helps you help it's your compass, you know, it helps you decide when you have choices to make throughout your day, go back to your compass. Which decision gets you closer to where you want to be? You know, our friends David and Elaine, the chiropractors, you know, they always say every decision you make is either getting you closer to health or further away from health. And I just think that that is so beautiful to think of it like that. Like, what do you want out of life? What is your purpose? What is your mission? I just went to the One Dozen Who Care conference here in Murphy. It has been going on for 24 years, which is incredible. Me having, helped organize a conference for 5 years and being really tired. It's like 24 years is incredible. So I'm really, really excited and proud that this area has that conference. But in there, one of the questions was, you know, when you introduce yourself, think about what is your purpose? What are your superpowers? You know, and you had to distill it down to one sentence. And I just thought that was so powerful because if you have that, then you could remind yourself, right? So how do you remind yourself? Rituals, practices, writing it down. You can even ask other people, what do you think is my purpose? What do you see me showing up as in the world? That's a good
Mhm.
one.
Absolutely. I also, I tell people this all the time, but tuning in to yourself and noticing how you feel about whatever it is. And, you know, something's lighting you up, if something's making you feel joy, if something's giving you butterflies in your stomach, excitement, all of that, like, yes, go more that way. If something's making you shut down or feel heavy or yeah, that's your body telling you this is not the right direction for me.
Oh.
Um
And it's really interesting because everybody introduced themselves and there were some interesting um like purposes or superpowers that people had, and the ones that kind of stuck out to me was like one person said, I think the word was agitator. I'm an agitator, you know, like a disruptor, right? And
mhm.
that's so interesting to me because that word has such friction and I'm always looking for such smooth, right? And but I thought, man, that is so powerful to be a disruptor. Like that's bold, that's brave, that's incredible. Other people, you know, artists, and you know, my purpose here is to be creative and to find the beauty in the minute. And you know, it's really powerful when you sit and think of it. But to your point earlier about your job and your purpose, if they're not aligned, my guess is that you'll feel some discomfort. And I get having to do what you have to do to survive. I don't fault that. But I think if you can approach your job with that mission and say, okay, when I show up today, how am I going to show up? You know, we have our one friend, Augusto the painter. I was telling someone about him earlier, saying, how neat is it that here's a company whose job it is to paint commercial buildings, residential buildings, and they have an entire foundation based on principles of kindness and compassion and understanding. Like, wow, if I'm going to hire a painter, wouldn't I want to hire someone that, you know, has my similar foundations like that? That's incredible. So I do think it's really important. Good morning, Joy Crawford. Good morning.
Joy and Tracy, thank you both for tuning in and listening to us. We love you. And to what you were saying too, like, I think you can have a job that might not on the outside look like it's in alignment with your purpose, but you can make it in alignment with your purpose. You know, I've used the example before, like if all of this fell apart and I had to go get it, say I had to go get a job cleaning toilets somewhere, like I, those that know me well know that I have a little bit of a public restroom phobia. I really don't like them. When I'm traveling, I literally dehydrate myself to avoid using as many public restrooms as possible. And, but, so if that was my job, like clean public restrooms, like if I walk into one, like literally I'm just like overjoyed. And so if that was my job, like I would be in that and recognizing the service and the comfort and the love and the all the things that it was going to give to people that were going to use that restroom that I had taken care of. So um sometimes, yes, you need to find a new job, but sometimes it's just you need to change your perspective on your job and get to what is my purpose here. Because, you know, you can be in there and it's just like just crunching numbers or serving whatever. Like, if you change your shift into what is the service value of what you are doing, and you can find it anywhere. So we have a friend who he works for a company that manufactures screws they're like surgical screws, so they go into people's body. And you know, he was talking about like how menial it was and how purposeless it felt to him. And I said, if you did this one simple thing, you would be participating in changing the world. I said, I want you to make those screws with love, because putting love in those screws is going to change the outcome of the surgeries of the people that receive those. And I guarantee you, someone could do a research study on this, and there absolutely would be a difference. People receiving screws made with love versus people receiving screws that were just made mindlessly or potentially even with negative energy put into them, because the person's like, I don't like my job. I'm just here to make money to pay the bills, and I hate my boss and I hate my coworker. Like that energy would go inside that screw, which would then go inside that person. And so um, anything you can do, you can shift your perspective on it so that it is in alignment with your purpose and you can find love and joy there.
I'll tell you a funny story, and we'll categorize this as learn from your setbacks. Um, so when I was in my 20s, I got this job, and you know, it didn't pay very well, but at the time it was the most money I had ever made, and so I thought it was phenomenal. And you know me, I'm a hard worker, and I worked really, really hard. And then anyway, one day it came time to quit. My life was moving forward. I realized that other people were making more money than me and doing less work than me. And then I just got pissed off. And those were really the pissed off years. Like I was very angry for a long time, for a variety of reasons. But anyway, so as I was leaving my job, there were like a couple of assignments that I needed to do, but of course I was going to run out of time. Like you can't leave, you know, every job just perfect, right? So you just leave what you can. But I specifically did not do certain tasks. I forget what they were, but they were like 2 or 3 things that I was like, good, I'm leaving, forget this. I don't want to do this. And I left it there. And I was mad when I left it, right? Like definitely not in any sort of soul alignment at all. Anyway, long story short, I left the job. I went to go do whatever I went to do, and they hired a bunch of people to replace me. It didn't work out. The company called me back and said, can you please come back? Please come back. Please help us. Please, you know, etc. So I was like, all right, fine. I will come back and I will, you know, do this job. And, you know, time had passed or whatnot. It was probably maybe 6 months, a year, or something like that. When I sat back at my old desk, I looked down, and the same assignment that I did not do was still there waiting for me. And I had to do it, you know? And I was like, man, what are the chances, right? Like all these other people that came in after me to do this job didn't do the thing that I didn't do. And I think about it now from my little old lady perspective, and I'm like, who knows how much ill will I left on those documents, right? On that task that nobody wanted to touch it, right? Because when I came back, I was in a much better place. I sat down, I looked at it, I laughed, I got it done in 5 minutes. It wasn't that big of a deal. It really wasn't. It really wasn't. But it was so much based on my energy and the attention that I brought to it. And that was really one of those, moments in my life where I thought, okay, doing things with anger doesn't make me win, right? Doing things with resentment, I don't win when I do things like this. So it's also taught me when to say when and to say, you know what, I'm not enjoying myself here anymore. This is not the right place for me. I need to go. But now, I leave much softer, much easier. I don't leave with such fire in my heart as I did that first time. So definitely, if you find yourself, in that angry space, in that space where you can't feel even just a little bit of joy every day, it's really time to stop and go back and look at your purpose, and say, am I living this purpose? Particularly for the healing fields, right? Like you've been to, well, I don't know if you've been, but people go to the ER and people are mean to you in the ER, right? Or you go to your doctor's office and there's someone who's mean to you. And I'm like, man, people are coming in like vulnerable. They're coming in sensitive. And now you're layering this anxiety filled, meanness on top of it. So be very careful because how we show up in every space makes a huge difference. I've had to learn that lesson a million times. I've been angry a lot. Um, I'm happy to be where I am today, but I know that I know I bear responsibility in creating some shifts that were not so positive. So try and learn from that too. Learn from me.
Yeah. I will say too, what we create, we have this, what we create in our own reality, and we're also creating within the collective, which has influence as well. And I do have to say, I have, just throwing out so much compassion for the people in the health industry right now, because
For sure.
truly things are not set up in a way for people to be in a heart-centered space while they're working. These poor people are overworked, their jobs are, they're traumatized every day. And especially in the ER, the stuff that they have to see coming through there, it's not okay.
Right.
And you know, I I believe we're going to reach a healthcare crisis because people are not staying in the field anymore. Like I said, just physical therapy, the career expectancy is 9 years. We're going to run out of healthcare providers. And so we, when years back when everyone's like, oh, Obamacare is going to solve all of our healthcare issues in this country. And I was just like, oh my God, you guys have no idea. Like that is nothing compared to what are the underlying issues of healthcare in this country. And I do send out a lot of love and compassion to the people that are trying and doing the best that they can in those environments. And um, you know, it's not just the politics that have created the system. We as consumers have also created that system. And um, I'm going to like step down off the soapbox because I could probably talk for hours about this. And we do need people lining up with their heart. Like that's where your true health comes from, is in your heart. And when you're living in your purpose, you are going to have more well-being in this physical body as well. I can't tell you, like, when I graduated from school, it was all about treating the physical body and finding the problems in the physical body and fixing those. And, the more time that I spent in the profession, the more I realized, like, this physical aspect, it's like the tip of the iceberg. It's everything else that's underneath there that's really creating the issue. I mean, like, yes, you fall, you break a bone. Yes, the bone needs to be put back together and healed. But if it doesn't happen in a way that you return to normal function. It's all those underlying things underneath that are getting in the way of you returning to a good state of health following an injury. And so many of the diseases that people are dealing with are primarily created in the mind. And science is catching up on that. And but it also requires people taking responsibility and recognizing that, yes, as shitty as it is, I created that problem, and I'm the one that can uncreate that problem.
You know, I think it's important to start wherever you're at. You know, it can everything, you know, your health and politics and the world and everything can be very overwhelming. And you know, it's been said for a million years, the only thing you can control is yourself. So start there. You know, so many major changes in how society functions didn't start top down, it started bottom up. You know, I'm so proud of the millennials and the zennials, how they are taking so much more control of their work environment. And they're saying, no, I'm not going to answer the phone after 5 o'clock. No, I'm not going to work 60 hours a week. No, I'm not going to wait until I retire to travel the world. You know, I'm Gen X. I'm right in the middle of all the things, but seeing them show up how they want to be treated, not reacting to how they're being treated, but showing up how they want to be treated. And I think if we did that, it has to work, right? It has to work. It can work in either direction. It'd be really great if top down would work. That would be so nice, but we're here. Let's make it work, bottom up. And don't despair. That's really something else I want to say is when you are in your purpose and in your mission, and that or at least a majority, right, of the moves that you're making are aligned, you are going to feel better. You can still be aware, and I feel really strongly about this. I think it's important to be aware of what's going on in the world. I think it's important to be aware of what's going on in your neighborhood, in your children's lives, your parents, right? Injustices. I feel strongly about all of that. And I also want to feel peace in my heart. I don't want to feel despair all the time. Someone said, it was probably a TikTok, but it said, our human brain and body are not made to know what's happening on a worldwide scale. We as human beings are supposed to know about 150 people. And I'm like, man, we blew that out of the water a long time ago. But it's a lot. It's a lot for our clunky brain to consume. And it's normal to feel really bad when all of these terrible things are happening. And I think it's okay to say, okay, what is my purpose? How can I live my life in a way that reverberates in a way that, eventually, even if it takes time, fixes all of these things, So for all my movers and shakers and protesters, I love you guys. And for all my poets and dreamers, amazing. And for all my scientists turning the screws you were talking about earlier, like, all of these things are purpose-filled and they are mission-filled. And whatever you're doing, whether you believe it or not, you are living a purpose. You are living a mission. So don't discount yourself. Don't despair. Just be in awareness. And I really think there's a lot of joy in that.
Absolutely. So when we were talking about ways to, a lot of people tell me, I don't know what my purpose is. I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing.
What? Okay.
This beautiful tool that we created. Journaling is a very powerful tool to tap into your inner self, your inner wisdom, and discover who you are and why you're here. And so, yes, people have already taken advantage of the digital version.
Back up and tell everybody what it is for those that are just listening. What are you holding up?
So this is our Living Aligned journal that Graciela and I created, and it's a journal full of prompts to help you discover yourself and help you find um, your authentic self and help you find your purpose. And so, and yeah, it's designed to be a 30-day journal, but like if you go, it's not for me. I can't commit to journaling for 30 days in a row. Like, you don't have to commit to 30 days in a row. You can commit to just starting. And maybe you start on page 1, and maybe you randomly open the book and start on page, or pages aren't numbered, but say start on page 50. I don't know. But there's lots of beautiful prompts in here to help you discover yourself, really. And it's not on the website yet. You can't go buy it right this minute. I'm working on getting it up on there as soon as possible for people to purchase. And if you really want one, we don't have a ton of them printed. So if you're worried about not getting your copy and it selling out, DM one of us and we will save a copy for you. So these journals are beautiful ways. Our cacao ceremonies are a beautiful way to help tune in. I think about your sound baths, like lying there in that space of that, with the sound, the frequencies happening around you, and like it just clears everything out of your brain so that you can connect with your true self, your authentic self. Obviously the retreats are like an intensive deep dive into connecting with yourself, nurturing yourself, honoring yourself. And yes, you can do this on your own, and you don't have to do it on your own. And one of the other things that I love, the people that are gravitating towards our services and products, they're all becoming a community, and they're all connecting and supporting each other. And I can't tell you how many times I hear people coming in and talking to me about stuff, and they're like, I can't talk about this with my friends. My friends aren't into this stuff. Da, da, da. Trust me, there are a ton of people that you can talk to, and just connecting with our community creates that space where you can explore your true self, and finding your purpose, and just being in that energy of a like-minded community will uplift you and inspire you. And I do, since we were giving shout outs earlier, we have Luisa Escotando da Italia. Ciao. I miss all my Italian people, and I don't get to practice my Italian enough. I'm afraid that it's like completely deteriorated into nothing, but very honored. I've seen a few times people listening in from Italy, and that, like, I feel so honored because these people are from, I don't know how many years ago, like 2008. And the fact that has almost 2008, that was 18 years ago. That's insane.
Listen,
And
it's crazy how time has flown. When I was just in South Florida, as you know, a week ago or so, and had a little happy hour. Just whoever could come came, and it was so beautiful. And one of the girls that came was somebody that I had worked with at, I don't know if you knew, Eckerd Drugs. It was like a CVS back in the day. We were both in our teens, and I have not seen her since. And she came to this happy hour. So, I was like, oh, it's been 30 years. And then I started doing a little bit more math, and I'm like, oh man, it's been more than 30 years. Like, how is it possible that I did something 35 years ago? I mean, that's a long time.
but also, like, how amazing that you created a connection back then that inspired her to show up to come and see you after all those years. And same thing, my college dorm mate, showing up, and she's coming to the retreat now. And like, to know that, it just reminds me that yes, I'm different than I was then, but I was the same then as I am now. Like, my heart is still that same loving, like, I just want the best for everyone, and I want everybody to love themselves. And I did back then too. Like, I just wasn't as bold, and I wasn't doing it professionally back then. You know, beautiful to be able to bring this in alignment with my purpose. And um, I love seeing those people from back then reconnecting. And you know, the beauty of social media. Yes, I've been able to connect with people even from grade school. I'm like, hey, if you're out there listening and you went to grade school with me, like, nothing would bring me more joy than for you to connect and show up for one of these events and receive the love and joy and everything, the empowerment that is part of participating in what we're putting out there, and the connection with the community. It's
Well,
all that.
and you know, to your point earlier about so many people say like it's kind of funny because so many people will start chatting with me and they'll kind of like eyeball me like, are you weird enough to accept what I'm about to say? And I'm like, I am so weird. Lay it on me. What do you got? And then they say something that's like not that weird, or not that weird in our circle. I don't know,
Right.
like, you know, that you felt a tree's vibration. Like, you know, I get that. Like, not everybody receives that, you know, in the way that we do, right? So, if you feel like your circle is that you're outgrowing your circle a little bit, that's okay. Like, you can still have some really amazing friends, but then you can also have a group that just accepts you for where you are and lets you say the weird thing. Um, that's okay, because it really, at the end of the day, it's not weird at all. It's just where we started. What is weird is trading our lives for commodities. You know, what is weird is living out of alignment. What is weird is struggling every single day. That's weird. So, and I also want to say, like, you can have a ton of money and still feel disconnected. So success is not happiness. It can make you happy, which is phenomenal. I'm happy and I'm successful and I feel good, and those two things are concurrent, but they're not necessarily caused in the direction that you think it is, you know? So, um, you know, sometimes I see coaches online that are showing off like their yachts and their, you know, big, I don't know, plane, private jets and things like that. And I love that because I think it's really, really cool to have those things. And that's not necessarily my definition of success, right? So, to me, when I look at people out in the world and I ask myself, who do I think is a really successful person? I think of people that are happy. I think of people that are showing up every day in their purpose. Some of them drive a Mercedes Benz and some of them drive a beater, you know? And that metric of things has never proven to me to be the true measure of success. You know, now if you can be an aligned bajillionaire, like, goals, I love it. Let's do it. Get to it from a heart space, phenomenal. Lead your major company from a foundation of principles that move the world and human beings forward. That to me is success, right? So anyway, don't if you feel like you need support, if you feel like you need a little break away, retreats are the great equalizer. You know, I love that when we get together in groups, whether it's a small group or it's a retreat, at the end of it, you kind of realize that you forgot to ask, what do you do for a living? You forgot to ask, you know, where do you live? How big is your house? What car do you drive? People don't talk about that at all. It really doesn't matter. And so you end up with a really neat circle of heart-led supporters, cheerleaders for you. So yeah,
Yes.
anyway, it's
Woo!
time.
All right. What a beautiful show. And we'd love to hear from you all. How are you doing? Living living in your purpose, aligning with your purpose. And if you need any help, like, reach out. That's what we're here for. We are
And
here.
celebrate with us too. Like, it's not just all when you feel like garbage. Like, you know, call us when you feel good too.
Absolutely. Yeah. Share your successes with us. And we've had, you know, we have our private WhatsApp chat group for our retreat attendees, and just watching them ask each other for support, sharing each other's wins. Like, it is incredible, beautiful to see. And we want you to be part of that too. So
can you put up Joy's comment? We're going to end with that one because I just absolutely love it. There it is. It's all about the love. Thank you, Joy. All right. Well, have a great day, everyone. Super excited. If you are catching this on the replay, we still want to hear your comments. And there are just a couple spots left on the retreat. So if you have questions, ask us about that. It's all on the website. Get ready for that journal too. It's coming out soon.
Yay. Have a magical